Hi, my name is Jason and I'm an application engineer here at 3M. Today we're going to be doing our third and final installment in our three-part video series around our SOP using the random orbital polishing system. In our first video we removed all the defects from our panel by sanding, and then in the last video we did our full compounding step. In this video we're going to be doing our final polish. Before we get started, there's two things I want to mention. The first is we want to make sure we're always wearing the proper PPE. In this video, I'll be wearing nitrile gloves, safety glasses, hearing protection, as well as a respirator. The other thing I want to mention is this video is intended for professional use, so for you technicians actually out there in the shops. For any additional safety or warranty information, be sure to check the links in the description below. With that being said, let's get ready to polish. As I mentioned in our last video, we did all of our compounding using a wool pad. There are also foam pads available that can be used for the compounding side. But once we get into polishing, there's only foam pads. So a foam pad is going to be a little bit different than a wool pad as far as how we're going to load it. And then also the speed at which we're going to use this pad for polishing could be a little bit different. So first let's talk about loading. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pad mounted. And this is a brand new pad, so just like the compounding stage, we first have to load or precondition this pad. To do that with a foam pad, first always make sure we shake up our compounder polish or whatever we're using. And now I'm just going to put one ring all the way around the outside of the pad. This ensures that the full pad gets saturated as we start to use it. From this point on, we can always just put 4 dots on the pad, and that's going to be plenty of polish to keep our process going. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the speed. So for compounding, we start around 4,000 RPMs, and we can work our way up if we feel that we need to cut a little bit faster. With polish, it's kind of the opposite. We're still going to start around that same 4,000 number, but then we can slowly step that number down as we get a finer and finer polish. So that's our starting points for this. Now that I have my pad loaded up, I'm going to follow the exact same procedure I did when I was compounding. So I want to keep my tool nice and flat. I want to keep light pressure. We don't want to push too hard that we stop the dual action motion that this tool provides. So we want to let the tool do the work, not the pressure from our hand. So I'm going to get my respirator on and get polishing. Just like the compounding phase, I made overlapping passes, about 50% overlap, first moving east to west. Once I reached the end, I reloaded my pad. Since I preconditioned it, I only had to put the 4 dots on, and then went ahead and made my north-south passes. And then I made one more pass, making sure I hit all of my edges. So I just finished making my final passes with my foam polishing pad and my random orbital polish. And that final wipe down was just to ensure I got everything out of the panel. We want to make sure we clean the entire surface and didn't leave any marks behind. Because if we did, now would be the time that we can do one final pass to make sure we clean any of that up before, if this was a vehicle, before it goes to final detail or reassembly and out into the hands of the customer. So again, a random orbital is different than a rotary, where we have to be less mindful of our edges. We can get a little more aggressive on those because there's far less of a chance of burn through than if I was using standard rotary. The other thing to keep in mind is these are made in different size throws. So this is a 15 millimeter, and there's also a 21 if you perhaps wanted to work on a larger area. The general rule of thumb that we say is you want to typically stay in about a 2 foot by 2 foot area. That way your compounder polish doesn't dry out too much before you make your next pass. So that concludes our third and final video of this 3-part SOP process around random orbital polishing. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. Otherwise, thanks for watching this video. If you like the content you saw and want more of it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want PDFs or to read through the SOP process, or just have any other questions in general, be sure to check us out at 3M Collision Repair Academy. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.